Welcome back, y'all, to Stealth and Steel Outdoors. My name is Grant, and tonight we're just going to jump right into it because we're losing daylight pretty fast. So, about a year ago, I uploaded a video titled "Why Heavy Arrows Suck." Well, I'm going to be uploading this video with the same title, and I'm going to be addressing and taking in a lot of the feedback that I got from that first video and putting it into this one. So, tonight at 50 yards, I'm going to show you the difference between a 550 grain arrow and a 450 grain arrow. I'll go ahead and throw the pictures on the screen now of me weighing out these arrows. Now obviously it's not exactly 550 grains, but it's close enough. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to shoot them at 50 yards, and you're going to see everything. Both of these arrows have a lighted knock on to the end of them, so you'll be able to see trajectory, time to target, and the overall difference very, very broadly and abruptly here in about the next, well, I guess 30 seconds for y'all, but I got to set up a bunch of stuff before I can even shoot. But the one thing that I want to say is that if there is that much of a difference between these two arrows at 50 yards, out of an 80-pound bow at 30.5 inches, it is only going to get worse for people, you know, of smaller stature who shoot lighter poundage, okay? And it is what it is. So if I have a very big difference here, the difference that a lot of you are going to be having out there is only going to be compounded and multiplied. So keep that in mind as we go. We're going to go ahead and get set up here and start our shooting. Alright, so if I set this up, I should be off kiltered a little bit, but you should be kind of still over my shoulder. That way you can see the trajectory for exactly what it is. Alright, so we're going to be shooting the same bow. This bow is set at 30.5 inches and it's set to 80 pounds. We're going to shoot the 450 grain arrow first, and then we're going to shoot the 550 grain arrow. We're shooting at the same spot at about 50 yards. So I'm aiming at a blue piece of tape down there that's on the 12 ring of this deer target. So that's what I'm going for both of these shots. All right. Alright. I might be just a touch high there, but it all in all won't make that much of a difference. Alright, now we're going to shoot the 550 grain arrow. Alright. Alright, let's go down there and see what the difference is. The 3D target. So I'm not going to pull it out all the way. I have the most expensive tape measure I own. It's a Milwaukee Auto Lock. It's a 25 footer. I like this thing a lot. So I hit the upper top corner of this blue tape that I was aiming for. And, well, it's getting a little dark outside, so it's actually a little bit harder to shoot. But nevertheless, we are going to measure the difference between the two. And you're looking at about a 6-inch difference between these two arrows at 50 yards. And there's only 100 grains separating the two of them. Sometimes people get to this weight with a field point. Okay, so it's really not that hard of a weight to attain. And out of an 80-pound bow at 30 inches, there is still 6 inches of difference. Alright, so I'm coming to you from a little bit different day in a messy workshop, and it gets hectic around here. Hunt season, I just built a bow today and got it all set up, and I'm pretty sure it's a 90-pound bow. Okay, I'm not going to say what the manufacturer was or what pro shop I went through, but I built one like this on accident before, and I'm pretty sure I did it again. So that one's going to be sitting over there for the time being, but anyway, I'm coming to you from a different day and a little bit, you know, different headspace, mainly because the first time that I recorded the second half of this video, I was very critical of some groups on YouTube, and that's not what I'm trying to. I'm not here to spread hate and discontent. However, I am here to kind of speak my mind, and I want to say it in a little bit more appropriate manner than I did before. But we're still going to hit all the points. I want to tell you why that test was so important to me, and why it should be important to a lot of regular bow hunters out there. So that test did three things for me. On the three things on why that test was important to me. The first thing is it showed me the time to target and how much slower the heavier arrow was. It also showed me the trajectory. That is also something extremely important to me that I tried to flatten out as much as I possibly can. And just overall the difference, okay, and how critical those arrows are to shoot at that distance, because whether you like it or not, heavier arrows are harder to shoot at those longer distances. And I was only at 50 yards, okay, I only had one arrow, left from that little, experiment and adventure. But those arrows are increasingly harder to group. You have to be an absolute machine to group those arrows past about 60 yards, okay? And the faster setups, the lighter setups are more forgiving at those longer distances. Now you might be asking yourself, well, why are those longer distances important? Well, I call what I do hunting in the real world, okay? I hunt a lot of public land. I'm not allowed to bait, okay? People may bait around me, but I don't bait. Okay, and I'm definitely not going to film me baiting in a state that is illegal to bait, and I'm pretty sure it's illegal to bait on public lands in general. Shoot a deer and then post it to YouTube and then get a ticket, and then there'd be this huge scale. That'd be so stupid. So, like I said, I hunt in the real world, and some of these spots that I'm hunting in, I have a trail at 18 yards or I have a trail at 60 yards. And if you can't cover the distances in between there and maybe a little bit farther, you're probably not going to be successful, or you're not going to be successful very often, because I can't tell you in the last 5 years how many opportunities I've had at 49 or 50 yards. Whether I had a compound in my hands or a recurve, I've had dozens of opportunities, and I got to be honest with you, I'm a little bit tired of letting them walk. So what I decided to do is focus on my shooting ability, and I'm pretty decent, okay? I have videos, out there, me shooting and everything like that at extended ranges with, a target bow and a hunting bow. It's basically all the same to me. Mainly because those bows are basically identical, but that's besides the point. The point is that if you practice enough, you can get better at those longer distances, and you can be a better archer, and that is going to translate into your hunting as well. And I think they suck. For those reasons, I think heavy arrows suck, and I've tried it all. I'm not lying to you when I say that I have built an what I call the Ed Ashby arrow with, an expensive component system, high FOC, close to 20%, 650 plus grain arrow, out of a 70-pound recurve at 31 inches, or, however long my draw length is out of a recurve. And I tell you what, at about 8 yards, I shot a doe a little high through the shoulder, through the scapula, and it went in about that far, and that doe ran out of my life forever. And at that point in time, I went ahead and said, it ain't perfect, nothing's perfect, the only thing that can be perfect are the things that I can control, right? And so that's when I focused on, being accurate and shooting a lot more, and then I had a ton more success after that. It's crazy how all that works out, right? But you can't design perfect arrow at either end of the extremes and expect it to work out for you all the time, because that's just not how hunting is, okay? It is a huge game of give and take, and the truth is somewhere in the middle. Your truth might be a little bit different than other people. I sound like a lib right now, but your truth might be a little bit different than mine, because you hunt in a completely different spot, in a state with probably completely different laws and situations that you can control or you can't. And depending on how you hunt, it's going to depend on how much arrow weight you're going to be using. So really, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. And really, the only reason I made this video is because, well, I figured why not, It's the most important thing that you can do is get better as an archer and get better as a hunter, and then put the two together. Because you can't be a bow hunter without being good with your bow, or you at least shouldn't be a bow hunter until you're good with your bow. And that seems to be lost in a lot more of the mature audiences that are on not audiences, but groups that are on YouTube who post content and do stuff like that. And, I get it. Shit's going to happen. Shit's probably going to happen to me this year. I'm going to be on here bitching and moaning about it. But that is really all that I have for you guys today. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, guys, I hope you all have a good one.